Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a point in life when we must pause and ask ourselves a very important question. If nothing changes in me, what can I expect to change around me? The answer is simple: nothing. You see, every change begins not with the world, but with you, your thoughts, your beliefs, your habits, your vision. Nothing around us shifts until something within us does. The truth is, the life you're living today is a reflection of what you've allowed, what you've expected, and what you've done up until now. We become what we consistently think about. If you believe you're limited, you'll act in limited ways. But when you start seeing yourself as capable, worthy, and full of potential, your actions begin to align with that belief. And so does your reality. Success, it's not some final, flashy moment. Success is simply the steady pursuit of something meaningful. It's the quiet decision to show up every day and take steps, no matter how small, toward the person you want to be and the life you want to live. But here's the catch: nothing moves unless you do. The job won't get better unless you grow in it. The dream won't come closer unless you walk toward it. The habit won't break unless you face it. And the life you imagined won't arrive unless you build it. Blaming the world is easy, but it's in taking full responsibility for your choices and your path that real transformation begins. That's where your power is, not in controlling what happens to you, but in choosing how you respond and grow from it. Set goals, not for perfection, but for progress. Let them give your days direction, your efforts purpose, and your challenges meaning. Even if the results aren't instant, the journey itself will make you stronger. And remember this: nothing, absolutely nothing around you will change until something inside you does. So today, ask yourself, what am I willing to change to live the life I know I'm capable of? Because at the end of the day, nothing changes if you don't. You become what you think about. There is a quiet truth that shapes every life, whether we're aware of it or not. We become what we consistently think about. Our minds are like soil. Whatever thoughts we plant, whether positive or negative, grow into actions, habits, and ultimately outcomes. The dominant thoughts that occupy your mental space have a way of influencing everything from your behavior to your belief in what's possible. It's not about wishful thinking or repeating empty affirmations. It's about understanding that your mindset silently directs your decisions every single day. What you dwell on, you start to move toward. Think long enough about progress, and you'll begin taking steps in that direction. Think long enough about fear or failure, and you'll start hesitating, holding back, or even sabotaging your own potential. Imagine a person who constantly tells themselves they're not good enough. Eventually, their actions begin to reflect that belief. They might not speak up when they have a valuable idea, they might not apply for the job they want, or they might settle for less than they deserve, not because they couldn't have more, but because their mind already convinced them they weren't worthy of it. On the other hand, someone who holds the belief that they are capable, even if they're still learning, will approach life with a very different energy. They will try, risk, grow, and reach. That's the power of thought. It creates the lens through which you see the world and yourself. If your inner dialogue is full of limitation, then everything around you will feel like a wall. But if your inner world is rooted in growth, in possibility, and in personal responsibility, then even obstacles will feel like challenges you can overcome, not reasons to stop. The most successful people aren't always the ones with the most resources or the best circumstances. More often, they are the ones who manage their thoughts with intention. They refuse to let fear drive their decisions. They trained themselves to focus on what they could do instead of what they couldn't. They visualized their goals, repeated them, stayed close to them, until those goals started shaping their habits and pulling them forward day by day. Now here's the part that's both empowering and humbling. You get to choose what you think about. You might not control every situation, but you do have influence over what you focus on, and what you focus on grows. Now, that doesn't mean pretending problems don't exist. It means acknowledging them while choosing to center your energy on solutions. It means noticing your fears, but deciding to act with courage anyway. It means catching yourself in limiting thoughts and gently replacing them with beliefs that serve your growth. Over time, this consistent, intentional thinking becomes your identity. And once your identity shifts, once you see yourself as someone who is capable, resourceful, disciplined, or creative, your behavior begins to match it. You don't have to force change. It flows naturally from the way you now see yourself. So if you want to change your life, start by watching your thoughts. Start by asking, what am I feeding my mind every day? Am I nurturing beliefs that move me forward or ones that hold me back? The future isn't shaped by chance. It's shaped by focus. You don't become what you wish for. You become what you think about over and over again. Choose those thoughts wisely, because your life is quietly being built on them. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Success is one of the most misunderstood words in our lives. For many, it's wrapped up in status, titles, bank accounts, or recognition. But real success has very little to do with what the world sees, and everything to do with what's happening within you. True success is not a moment you arrive at. It's a direction you move in. It's the steady, intentional journey toward something meaningful. That's why success is best defined as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Let's break that down. Progress means ongoing, step by step, always moving. It isn't rushed. It's not a sudden leap or a final destination. It's the small, committed efforts you make each day, even when results don't show right away. Realization means bringing something into reality, making it real. And a worthy ideal is simply a goal, a vision, or a purpose that truly matters to you. Not someone else's definition of success, not society's pressure, but something deeply aligned with your own values and passion. When you're working every day toward a goal that means something to you, whether it's becoming a better parent, building a business, finishing your education, growing your character, or helping others, you are already successful. It doesn't matter if you're just starting or if you're far along the path. What matters is that you're moving with intention and not just drifting through life waiting for something to change. This perspective is freeing because it removes the pressure to constantly prove your worth through external validation. It reminds you that you don't need to be there yet to be successful. You just need to be on your way, growing, learning, improving. That quiet determination, that daily discipline is more powerful than a sudden breakthrough. In fact, most overnight success stories are just the world finally noticing someone who's been working in silence for years. Success, in this deeper sense, becomes something anyone can achieve. You don't need to be lucky. You don't need to be born into the right circumstances. You just need a goal that matters to you and the willingness to move toward it, even when it's hard, even when progress is slow. The person who shows up every day and puts in the work is already living a successful life. They're becoming more of who they were meant to be. And here's something important to remember. Your worthy ideal doesn't have to impress anyone else. It just needs to matter to you. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's building a strong family. Maybe it's becoming a better version of yourself than you were yesterday. What makes it worthy is the meaning it holds in your heart. This mindset also protects you from discouragement, because when success is defined by constant movement toward a purpose, not by comparing yourself to others, you're less likely to quit. You start celebrating progress instead of perfection. You become less reactive to failure because you understand that setbacks are just part of the path. And you stop wasting energy chasing things that look like success on the outside but leave you feeling empty on the inside. So ask yourself, what's my worthy ideal? What vision lights me up, even if it seems far away? Am I willing to move toward it, even just a little, every day? Because that is the definition of real success. And once you embrace that, you'll see that you're not waiting for success to arrive. You're already living it, step by step, becoming the person your goals require you to be. Responsibility is power. There's a moment in every person's life when they face a quiet but powerful choice: to continue blaming circumstances, people, or the past, or to take full responsibility for where they are and where they're going. That moment might not look dramatic. It might happen alone in a car, late at night, or after a difficult day when something just clicks. And in that moment, everything begins to change. Why? Because taking responsibility isn't a burden, it's power. We often confuse responsibility with fault, but they're not the same. You might not be at fault for everything that has happened in your life. We don't choose where we're born, how others treat us, or some of the setbacks we experience. But we always have a choice in how we respond to those things. That's where responsibility lives. It doesn't ask you to carry guilt. It asks you to carry ownership. And ownership is liberating. When you say, "This is my life and I own my choices," you're no longer at the mercy of what happens around you. You become an active participant in your growth. You take control of your time, your effort, your attitude. You stop waiting for permission and start creating momentum. You shift from victim to leader of your own journey. Think about the most fulfilled, effective people you've ever encountered. They might have faced hardship, but you'll notice one thing: they never let it define them. Instead of saying, "I can't because of what happened to me," they say, "I can because of what I decide to do now." They understand that responsibility means choosing how you show up, even when things aren't ideal. This mindset builds resilience. When you take responsibility, you stop being easily shaken by setbacks. A failure doesn't become the end. It becomes a lesson. A delay doesn't mean defeat. It's just a detour. Because when you know that your progress depends on you, you stop giving your energy to blame and start directing it towards solutions. It also creates confidence. There's a quiet strength that comes from knowing you're not just reacting to life. You're designing it. And even if the design isn't perfect yet, you're the one holding the pen. That's empowering. You don't have to wait for someone else to fix things or for the stars to align. You start where you are, with what you have, and you move forward with intention. Responsibility doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means choosing how you engage with help. It means recognizing when to ask for support, when to pivot, and when to dig deeper. It's not about carrying more than you should. It's about refusing to carry less than you're capable of. And perhaps most importantly, taking responsibility gives your life direction. Instead of being pulled in every direction by outside forces, you begin to steer your own ship. You stop drifting and start deciding. You ask better questions. What do I want? What can I do right now? What do I need to learn to get there? That shift, though simple in words, is powerful in practice. It changes how you speak to yourself, how you plan your days, how you handle adversity, and over time it changes everything around you, because your outer world starts to reflect the inner strength you've claimed. So, take a breath and remember this: you might not control everything that happens, but you do control how you show up, and that control, that responsibility, is not a weight, it's your power. When you claim it, your life begins to move, not because the world changed, but because you did. Goals give direction, not guarantees. Goals are powerful. They give our lives shape, focus, and energy. But there's an important truth that often gets overlooked. Goals are not promises. They don't guarantee the exact result we imagine. What they do is much more important. They provide direction. And that direction is what turns an ordinary life into an intentional one. Without goals, we drift. We react to whatever comes our way instead of choosing where we want to go. Each day feels like a repeat of the last, and even if we stay busy, we're not necessarily moving forward. But when we set a goal, one that genuinely means something to us, we create a compass for our decisions. We begin to act with purpose, and that purpose brings clarity to our days. A good goal pulls you forward. It reminds you of what matters when distractions try to pull you off course. It gives you a reason to say no to what doesn't align, and a reason to say yes to what challenges you in the right way. It's not about reaching perfection. It's about knowing what direction you're aiming for and committing to the journey. But here's the key. Goals don't come with guarantees. You might not hit the exact target. Life might take unexpected turns. You might miss deadlines or face setbacks that slow your progress, and that's okay. The real value of a goal isn't just in the outcome, it's in who you become while pursuing it. When you chase a meaningful goal, you grow. You learn how to stay focused, how to adjust, how to get back up when things don't go as planned. You develop discipline, patience, creativity, and grit. These qualities stay with you whether or not you reach the goal exactly as you first imagined. In fact, many people set one goal only to discover along the way that something even better was waiting, something they wouldn't have seen if they hadn't started moving in that direction. This is why goals should never be approached with an all-or-nothing mindset. If you set a goal and don't hit it 100%, that doesn't mean you failed. If you aimed to lose 20 pounds and lost 12, you didn't fail. You made real progress. If you planned to write a book and got halfway through, you're halfway further than before. The direction you chose brought growth, and that growth is success in motion. Setting goals also teaches you how to be intentional with your time. When you're working towards something specific, you stop wasting energy on things that don't serve that vision. You prioritize better. You choose activities, people, and habits that support your path instead of pulling you away from it. Of course, not every goal will feel exciting every day. Motivation comes and goes, but when your goal is grounded in something meaningful, when it connects to who you want to become, you'll find the strength to keep going even when it's tough. That's why it's important to revisit your goals regularly, not to pressure yourself, but to reconnect with your why, the reason you started in the first place. So set your goals boldly, dream big, but stay open. Understand that the goal is not a guarantee of success. It's the starting line of a journey worth taking. Be willing to pivot, to adapt, to redefine what success looks like along the way. Because even if the destination shifts, the direction will always move you forward. Change begins inside. When we think about changing our lives, it's easy to focus on what's around us. We want better jobs, healthier relationships, more opportunities, or different circumstances. But lasting change, the kind that truly transforms our lives, doesn't start on the outside. It starts within. Real change begins the moment you shift your mindset. The thoughts you hold, the beliefs you repeat, the way you speak to yourself, these are the starting points of transformation. Your external world is often a reflection of your internal one. If you're constantly thinking you're not capable, not ready, or not enough, then your actions will reflect those beliefs. On the other hand, when you begin to believe in your own growth, your behavior follows. You start to take risks, speak up, and lean into your potential. People often wait for things to get better before they change themselves. But the truth is, things get better because they change themselves. That's the real power of internal growth. You might not be able to control everything happening around you, but you always have the ability to look inward and ask, what do I need to shift in me to become the person who can handle this or rise above it? Changing from the inside out isn't always easy. It means being honest with yourself. It means letting go of habits that feel comfortable but keep you stuck. It means releasing old stories you've told yourself. Stories like, I always fail, I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not that kind of person. Those narratives may have felt true once, but they don't have to define who you are becoming. When you choose to grow internally, your entire experience of life starts to evolve. You begin to respond differently to challenges. You gain more clarity in your decisions. You attract new kinds of opportunities, not because the world changed, but because you did. And that shift influences everything. It all starts with small, intentional decisions. Reading instead of scrolling. Choosing growth over comfort. Asking for help instead of staying silent. believing in possibility instead of settling for limitations. These little internal choices, made consistently, create powerful external results over time. Change isn't always fast, but it becomes inevitable when it starts inside. The more you focus on shaping your mindset, strengthening your discipline, and staying aligned with your values, the more your outer life begins to catch up with the person you're becoming. So if you're waiting for something around you to change, pause and look within. The shift you're hoping to see out there, it begins with a decision in here. Because at the core of it all, nothing around you truly changes until something within you does.